Let me actually intro this. So, salute to Ferg, even though just saying Ferg in itself sounds like I'm missing something. But I will respect his no longer association with ASAP. So they did a interview there on podcast recently, and they were talking about, again, speaking on the conversation of finances and wealth. They were speaking on the subject of it being boring to be around rich people. Let's hear what the brother had to say.
After you make money, you get rich and all of that shit, right? Like, what really matters after that? Like it's boring being around mad rich people. Like that shit is whack. I'm not even gonna lie. Like that shit is trash. Like it's like literally like that shit is like like whatever they advertise and all that shit is trash.
What is the worst part about being around rich people?
It's no swag. It's no energy. It's no sauce. It's
What kind of
like
rich people are we talking about?
a lot of rich people don't got no sauce. Like most rich people you know, like most entertainers, it's sauceless.
What does it mean to have sauce?
That's why I feel like a lot of rich people buy art and clothes and shit. Because like you can buy into somebody's sauce. It's like I'm gonna get this George Condo because like he put his soul on a canvas and I lost mine, so like I can hang somebody else's up.
It's true though.
For real.
I know. God, fuck, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, it's like you done did so much shit for money that you kind of lost yourself in it, and it's like the best thing you could do is show somebody else's soul. Yo, listen to this James Brown record. Like he's bearing his soul in this record, but where's yours?
Salute to Ferg. So, as Ghost kind of broke down, we're very far away from the level of wealth in finances that this brother's around. But we know that, with the level of success that he's amassed in life, and obviously there's always been that, what's the word I'm looking for? Not barrier of entry. That was the opposite of what I'm thinking about. Once you reach a certain point in your lifestyle, a certain tax bracket, you have that entry into the lifestyle experience and just being in the general proximity of other extremely wealthy individuals. And you can just tell by the way Ferg is talking. He's talking directly from experience. Yeah, he's gonna breaking down how at a certain point it seems like based off what he's noticed, a lot of wealthy people they just as he said, don't have no sauce. Boring. Sauceless. Like, not interesting. And I think this is probably a running stereotype that you hear throughout time. Like, I don't know. I actually am curious to know what's the first thing y'all think of when y'all think of a wealthy person, whether the interest would be high or low in your mind. But yeah, I think it's definitely something that is not unheard of, but it's kind of he's big. You can tell by the tone of his voice. He's just like, yeah, he damn near sounds like he'd rather be around people in the hood. And see him looking at both sides. This might be a like being privileged and not and privilege being invisible to those who have it because I think most people would rather be around wealthy people, but I guess in general I'm just kind of curious to know what y'all think about this. Based off what he's saying, does it make sense to you? Do you are you buying into what he's talking about in the sense that yeah, being around wealthy people comes with the unfortunate side that is probably less interesting. It's probably boring. It's probably like what the way you're describing. There's like a lack of soul, and they're trying to substitute it by buying into other people's soul, so to speak. We'll start off last time. I think it's time you go. So what do you think about this?
Uh, with the caveat that, like you said, we are not in the position to be around wealthy people like he has.
I'm just speaking in general.
I
Maybe y'all have
yeah,
some rich friends. I don't know, but
just speaking in general, I feel like what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Maybe not like I'm not gonna say all rich people have sold their souls, but I do think there's a lot of truth in what he's saying, in that once you reach the pinnacle, quote unquote, of society, and once you don't want for any money, you can kind of do whatever you want. I find it interesting that whatever you want, like what wealthy people do, kind of ends up being like uh the same. We kind of see the same things over and over. Like it's kind of stereotypes just being brought to life. Like, oh, rich people got mansions and they eat at these high upper class restaurants and they got yachts and all that. And again, this is from the outside looking in, so I can't speak too much to like their day in day out lifestyle. But if you're just living out the same day to day that every other rich person is, and you're kind of in that upper echelon where you're expected to behave a certain manner, or you're like the way you interact with normal people, normal situations is completely changed. I feel like that, I'm not gonna say you've lost your soul, but a good chunk of what makes life interesting is lost. And life most certainly isn't, is, well, I should say it's easier, 10 times easier when you're rich versus if you're struggling, but easier and interesting are two different things. And
Mm.
when you do make your life entirely about money, which you kind of have to do, unless you, or once you inherit it, and you are folded into that lifestyle, like what, after you are done with making money, and you commit your entire life to making money, what do you have outside of that? And that's where I think he's come from, and that's where I think he's kind of spitting facts. It's like, do you think it's interesting how all these discussions we've had about wealthy people and inheritances and how you would raise your children if you were wealthy, and what's the quote unquote optimal experience to have to raise a child to become the best person they can be, you kind of all agree that being rich and being wealthy and not wanting for anything in life, while that's, in theory, it should be kind of the ideal situation where you don't have to work, you don't have to really struggle for anything. Like it doesn't, like we can agree that doesn't make you a good, as good a person, I guess, as if on the flip side you kind of struggled to the point that you were at today, and you have the experience and the memories of being low to fall back on. I think it's interesting that like there are going to be very obvious holes in your character if you are rich and if you reach that point versus like a regular everyday Joe Blow. And I think there's something to be said for that, because that kind of reinforces this point. Because like if you're that rich and you can't have fun and you can't express yourself to the level that someone that has 1,000th of the wealth that you have has, I don't know. You've won, but you kind of haven't won.
Well, for one, I mean, to kind of go along with what you're saying, there's literally the expression like there's beauty in the struggle. And
Yeah,
some can make the case that if you're no longer struggling, then what's beyond beauty, quote unquote. And what you're saying kind of leads me to like the thought of, and I feel as if we all talked about this, not just like podcasts, but like, what do you do once you, like you said, are in a position where you don't really want anything anymore? Like, and I guess that's kind of going along with what they're saying about like you quote unquote losing yourself. I feel as if when we talk about these things, it's generally we would just devote more time now that we're not doing the day to day struggle of life. And now we devote more time to our hobbies, interests, things in life that we'd want to pursue more. Um, but maybe it seems like it's a case where once you are along that struggle, maybe you lose that to some extent. I don't know. I will say, well, you said some things are stereotype that things that wealthy people do. Are you telling me that if and when you blow up, you're not buying a big ass house
Um, hmm.
and some nice ass cars?
I mean, I can say for certain I'm not gonna be one of the people that has like 10 cars. But I mean, sure, like a big house, yeah. Like I'm not even saying that the rich stereotypes are bad. Like we kind of all would. I don't think any of us would say no to like having every one of our meals catered. We don't have to do any cleaning because we got maid services. We can
No, you still gotta
go
cook
on a yacht. We
sometimes.
can go on vacation anywhere. Like I'm not saying any of this is bad. It's just kind of like typical and normal for a rich person. You really don't hear a lot of stories of rich people that live otherwise, which I'm sure they're out there, but not widely publicized.
And what else would you do
I mean,
with
for
your
me,
money?
with I, I definitely wouldn't be getting any yachts or nothing like that. Like,
Well, I'm saying in terms of your lifestyle, not necessarily like what investments would you be making, but just in terms of your lifestyle, how would your lifestyle be different?
I
And
mean,
instead
I think
instead
it
of
would be.
instead of watching no games on various sites, not to get in trouble, he'd be at all the games, courtside. What you mean?
Theoretically, but yeah, I think it's
That's
in
typical
my
rich people stuff.
mind, it would be about just eliminating all of the stress of day to day life that I wouldn't have to deal with. Like, I realistically, I probably would like have a maid and have all my meals made and stuff like that. But as far as the opulence goes, I wouldn't want any of that. But just like making day to day easier and conveniences, amenities. Like, if I got the money, then I'm
You
gonna
know what's
probably be spending it on that stuff that would save me time. It's kind of menial work that's not necessarily to make me a better person. It's just tedious.
You know what's crazy? I heard someone say this once, and it's one of those things. I like Kanye S saying sometimes just out of the blue sayings, but it does sound kind of wild when you just kind of hear it. I heard someone once say that cooking is for poor people because like the time that you spend cooking is time you could be like spent working so you can get somebody to cook for you. And I think even if you're rich, you gotta be somebody that's still grounded. Like I don't know if I ever bump into somebody that's so super wealthy and they said like they don't even know how to operate their like kitchen appliances, I would look at them crazy.
I feel like that's gonna be more than half. We'll leave it at that. Like more than you think.
What about yourself, Ace? What do you think of this notion that Ferg is talking about that wealthy people damn near tend to be more boring? Do you think that the pursuit of wealth comes along with kind of losing some of the, I guess to quote him, some of the soul that makes people interesting?
I do. What he says does ring true, but to me, I would be I would be so surprised if it just applies to if he's just saying it applies to all rich people versus people that just like inherited their riches. Because
Mm.
I feel like if you worked for where you've gotten, I mean, I guess there is the potential for you to just be like so consumed with status because you had to strive for it for so long that that's like all you think about, and you're just so your concerns at that point are just being seen at the high end clubs, high end restaurants, things like that. But um, yeah, if I feel like there's got to be rich people where that's not the case, where they struggle to get where they are, and they're either continuing to to try to push and require more wealth for themselves, for their
Yeah,
offspring, whatever, um, or they just live an interesting life outside of all the glitz and glamour, like I don't know, traveling and um, uh, just doing like I don't know, extreme sports, like things like that. Like there's got to be those rich people too.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, but
I
no,
feel like
I
you got
mean,
to be uber wealth to do that. What's that? It's not just skydiving. Would they literally just be jumping off cliffs in those Batman
oh,
suits?
the suits, yeah, exactly, exactly. You gotta know well to do that. Um, and yeah. So I like I said, I would be surprised if it just applies to everybody. Like certainly, there's some rich, at least a few rich people he met where they weren't completely soulless. Like uh, I feel like the richest man in the world right now, Elon Musk. If you were to interact with him, he certainly wouldn't be boring
It's
or
a wild
just.
example.
I mean, this you want to talk about riches, like he's the richest. But I feel like
Yeah, but
because he's still,
I feel as if people are on record saying he's kind of soulless in the same breath.
I mean that might be true, but
You know better than us.
All right, let's not get too personal.
no, I was just from the standpoint of he's still very much in the business world. He still runs multiple successful companies. He's pushing the bar forward or whatever in many different ways. Um, so like just in terms of that, like I feel like you couldn't just completely write him off. What however you might judge his character, I feel like soulless probably wouldn't apply. Like there's got to be something there.
Yeah, I mean, even on the outside looking in, I think there are plenty of relatively wealthy people that seem like they do have personalities, and then maybe it becomes a question of like, are they so innately full of life that they resist or reject the soullessness that comes with that level of wealth? I don't know why. The first person that comes to my mind is like Shaq. Like
Mm,
you just see Shaq the way he operates. He's like one of the goofiest, or he comes off as one of the goofiest people. But obviously, throughout his career, he's been well successful. But then on the other hand, you have people like Jordan. You ever see Jordan just kind of walking about? He ain't with no pictures.
mm,
He ain't really ain't talking to people. He just about his literally $1 billion legacy and going about his business.
mm,
So there's probably equal parts people that still live a very interesting and the type of life that they would want to live regardless of whether they were extremely fortunate or not. And then you have those who although maybe people sticking on that Jordan, people might say Jordan was always kind of like really had his eye on the prize.
mm.
Not too talkative. Anyway,
Yeah,
um,
I think Anthony Bourdain would be some like a rich person that certainly was
mhm,
a full of life type person.
yeah, yeah. But of course, I guess the only way to verify for certain is, we gotta keep climbing and see for ourselves if Fergus talking that real stuff. Last thing, this has nothing to do with nothing. Are you sure you'd have somebody cooking all your stuff, Ghost? Not to get on you, but I feel as if
Like,
you're a ninja. Like you like ninja food. Like I feel as if you're still gonna want to eat wings and stuff.
yeah, I mean, you're right. It definitely would not be like 100% of the time. Every single one of my, it definitely not. Like, there would definitely be food I make myself, but like I wouldn't say I dislike cooking. Like sometimes, every once in a while, I enjoy it. But I'm just thinking of like working a full day. Y'all know, working a full day of work and getting home and it's 4:30, 5:30, and
Oh
you think, oh,
man,
what's for dinner? Oh yeah, I gotta make it. And oh, I was gonna try out this recipe. Too bad it takes an hour and a half from start to finish, and by the time I'm done, it's gonna be damn near 8 o'clock. And, like that is
Man,
what I'm like. Nah, my personal chef would have had that whipped up, ready to go. Just sit down and eat. So
no,
yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna be cooking. In theory, I would be cooking my own food sometimes. Like it wouldn't just be a full on just pass out to someone else, but most of it, yeah, I'm gonna have a professional take care
that
of
is
that.
definitely area of life where people don't really talk about. And God forbid you forgot to take out the meat and it's in the freezer when you go home. Oh my God! At
Yeah,
that point, you just
it's retribution all the times when we were younger, and the mom said, "Make sure you take that chicken out the freezer," and
and
then
it's
you see
so
it pulling it, and
and it's
oh
so
shit, I
crazy.
forgot.
You damn near need to experience that to really appreciate your parents and really just be like, damn, I'm at all those times where they came in the house and that with their orders weren't complete, and now I
Yeah,
can
how
understand the
did they lose it
frustration.
on us worse? Yeah,
Ah man, there's been
yeah.
so many times where I did that. Came home, the meat I had planned to do it, but the meat's still in the freezer. And at that point, you're just eating cereal. It's like, all right, f.
Cereal, ordering,
Just take the L.
delivering.
Let me go. Let me get skin late. Let me go get some freaking Dominoes. It's
Yeah,
I get it. But yeah, the
yeah.
moral of the story is uh, I don't know. You can make the case that your life can be and damn near potentially will be interesting depending on how you operate. Your level of if you need a level of wealth or I guess lack thereof to be interesting, then you could argue maybe you are a little bit sauceless, like you were saying. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic.